Hey everybody, Melissa Welsh here. It's Wednesday at 10 a.m. and I've been away for a while, 2 weeks actually. And the week before that, I had some trouble. The button wasn't working on the live, so I couldn't do live. So anyway, it's been like 3 weeks, I think, since I've been here and we've hung out. So excited to be back. Okay, so we have one question this week. And I'm going to drink some water before I read it. Hang on. I feel like I'm talking really fast. I'm really excited. Okay. So our question today is, I've been in business for a few years and have been selling digitals. I have thought about selling more products, but the idea of in-person sales freaks me out. I'm not a salesperson. I don't know that the person wrote it like that. I'm sorry. There was just a couple exclamation marks, so it might have been. Is it the only way to make good money in this industry? Okay, so the question is, do you have to do in-person sales to make money? I think is basically the question this person's asking. So awesome question. There's a lot of different angles we could tackle with this guy today. So I think the first thing is that, is it the only way to make money in the industry? Well, the answer is no. There are other ways to make money in the industry. Specifically what you want to look at is the different types of business models. So high volume, low price is like a completely different volume. You don't want to be doing in-person sales for that kind of stuff. So high volume, you can make really good money in high volume photography, and in-person sales is not a part of that. So if like the idea of in-person sales altogether freaks you out, like that may be, like say you're an introvert or something like that, right? Maybe high volume works for you because it is quite lucrative once you get your system set up. However, I'm going to make an assumption that this particular person may not be, because they didn't mention that this is for event or sports or schools or anything like that, I'm going to assume that they are potentially a portrait or wedding photographer, which means that they are probably a medium volume or low volume, high priced photographer, or that's like where they want to be. So if that is your chosen business model, then in-person sales does have an important role in it, but not necessarily in what you think. I feel like out there today, there's people like to separate themselves and put themselves in like different camps and like, or boxes or whatever it is, and like just be one or the other. And so in the portrait industry, it seems like it's either IPS or selling digitals, and there's no in between. You know, you're either one or the other. So choose, right? So I kind of want to talk about that a little bit and like maybe give a bit of a background too for those of you that maybe haven't been in the industry for a long time. It's really important to know that in-person sales is not a new thing. It's just a new term, right? The term, because here's the thing, is that before digital, in-person sales, that was the only way to sell things to your clients. You know, before the interwebs and digital files and all that kind of thing, as a working photographer in the studio or whatever, like you would do your session, and then they would come back a week later when you had the proofs, and you would sit and sort through the proofs with them. Like that was the only way to do it. That's how photographers have made money traditionally in this business. And that is a key part of sort of, especially in the low and medium volume business, that's a key part of your customer service. Something that I think is important to know is that if you are choosing that low volume or medium volume business model, it's almost kind of a privilege, right? Or a bit of a luxury in a sense, because basically what you're saying is that you want to do less work for more money. In a sense, we all know that you don't necessarily do less work than somebody in the high volume, but for your clients, they're going to be paying much higher prices than somebody that's running a high volume business. Like think of Walmart. Does that make sense? Like Walmart runs a high volume business, portrait studio or whatever it is, right? So even though you could argue that you may be supplying the same products, your products are going to be more money because in theory, the images you are creating are more original and support that business model. And then the second thing being is you are supplying a incredible customer service experience, which is why they are going to spend more money with you, right? Like, you think about going to a spa or something like that. Like, you spend a lot of money to go to a spa. You could also just go to a store and buy all the stuff they put on your face, right? But you pay for the experience. So if you're a medium and low volume photographer, you need to be thinking about that experience, right? Does that make sense? That spa thing came out of nowhere, so I hope it makes sense to you guys. Okay, so I guess that's what I wanted to talk about was amazing customer service, right? Or ACS, that's what I'm going to call it from now on. I don't think in-person sales, like, I get why people are calling it that, but it's not serving all the photographers well, because people get freaked out by that and think that it's all about sales. And that's what I want to talk about today. Well, one of the million things I want to talk about. But that it's not just about the sales. Okay. So if you can relate to this person asking this question, where they've been in business for a few years, they've been selling digitals, they want to sell products, but in-person sales freaks them out. Honestly, in-person sales, that term would freak me out too. So I want you to think about it as awesome customer service or amazing customer service, depending how you roll. Okay, pick your A word. So here's the thing: is that because it's the only way that photographers ever did it, and then there's only like a small new generation of photographers. Like, basically, if you've been in business for the last 10 years, you may be part of that generation that just like didn't do it. You need to know about all the other benefits of it, right? So let's take the sales and the money part like completely out of the equation, and let's just talk about not only how you're serving your client, but how it actually makes you a better photographer. I didn't realize this over the years. When I look back on it, I was like, oh, well, I've always done in-person sales. I mean, I didn't do them with a big projector and like fancy equipment or anything like that, but I always met my clients afterwards, like with a laptop in a coffee shop, you know, back when I was getting started, probably like some of you guys. And what happens is that you sit down with your clients and you go through the images one by one, right? And you guys talk about them and you learn about what your clients like and what they don't like. And you learn why too, right? The thing about posting images, like, I totally understand the convenience of it, like posting everything on an online gallery, and it completely makes sense for a high volume business model where you're creating the same image over and over and over and over again. The only difference might be a slight expression and they have a choice of 3 photos. That makes sense for an online gallery. But when you do a lifestyle session for a family or something like that, part of your job as a professional photographer is to help them figure out what the heck they do with those photos. And so here's the thing, is that if you're not sitting down with your clients, you don't realize that they don't know. I know that they don't know because I've been doing it forever. And if you talk to any other established photographers out there, they'll tell you the same thing. Yeah, that most people come in, they sit down, and they don't know what to do with the images. Yes, they love them. Some of them they don't like. And in the early stages of your career, it's really important to learn and understand why people don't like some images, right? So that you can stop taking them, you know, or you just take those types of photos for yourself and you stop showing them, making that that selection process a little bit easier, whatever it is. Or sometimes, like, the other thing that comes up a lot over the years is that when I'm sitting down with the clients after a session, and I'll have like my favorite images, you know, like my OMG, I love this image, it's going to be a 40-inch print, and they don't like it. I'm like, what? Are you crazy? It's so helpful to be able to dig into it right there with them and be like, well, why? Why don't you love this as much as I do? And sometimes what you'll find is it's just like these funny little things, you know, like, you know, the woman might be like, oh, well, I don't like the way my shirt flares out there. And so they write off the entire image because of one little tiny thing that you can fix, right? So then you're in the situation where this is all part of that awesome customer service, right? Where it's like, oh, well, I can actually retouch that out. If that's all that is, like, we can fix that. And people's minds are blown. When you put everything into a gallery and put it up online and let your clients pick and choose, you could almost say that they probably think you're a worse photographer than you are. I know I'm going out on a limb saying that, but just for those of you that have been in business, maybe you can support me on this, like been in business a long time. But I think because of all the time that I've spent with my clients over the years, and I know all the funny little things that they don't like about the images that I'm able to fix, they end up coming out of the session thinking that I'm a hero, right? As opposed to if they had just viewed those photos all by themselves and they only really truly liked 3 out of the 12, when in an in-person viewing session, they ended up liking 9 of them because there was little things that they didn't know I could fix. You could argue that I come out of the session, an in-person viewing session, looking more like a hero than an online gallery. So I'm just throwing that out there right now. You guys can let me know what you think about that. Okay, that was an aside. It kind of came out of nowhere, but just like some food for thought, right? Something to think about. So the thing is that the more that you sit down and meet with your clients, the more you start to learn about what sells and what people like, and what they don't like, and all of that kind of stuff is what makes you a better photographer. And when you put time and effort into business practices that make you a better photographer, you end up making more money as well, right? So it's almost like a long game. Like that part of it is the long game. Like if you're in this for real and you want to do this for the rest of your working life, then these are things you need to know now. You don't want to be shooting blind for the next 10 years, throwing things on online galleries and never getting that feedback, The thing is that people will always tell you about the stuff that they love, right? And you guys know this. You put stuff on Facebook, and your moms and your aunts and your friends and your clients, and everybody loves your work. But you don't get better from all the love. You get better from the stuff that people don't like, So even though it's uncomfortable to sit down with somebody and hear that they might not like something, you actually need to know. You really do. Okay, so that's the bit about awesome customer service. The other thing is too, actually, that was kind of almost just about you. The other thing is the part about the client too, is that you're actually walking them through and helping them figure out which image is best for what. Like what image is best suited to send to all the aunts and uncles and the moms and dads or whatever it is, right? If it's an engagement session. What image is best suited for something above our fireplace? What image is best suited for the invitation? Like these are all the things that you can kind of walk them through and help them with. The thing is that even if you're just selling digitals, you guys can be doing this as well, right? Like this is not just a prints or products, like printed products thing. If you want to continue to just sell digitals, that's fine, go for it. But you could be doing this too to up your game and the customer service and become a better photographer. Okay, I feel like I'm a bit rambly there, but hopefully you guys pulled some stuff out of there. Okay, so then like more logistic stuff is if you are just getting started and you want to do these in-person viewing sessions or then you don't necessarily need to spend a lot of money on a projector and fancy software right off the bat. The truth is, from my own experience, is that fancy software and the projector definitely make you more money. There is no question about it. Like absolutely no question. And there are probably hundreds of thousands of other photographers out there that will tell you the same thing. However, I get that sometimes is a huge jump going from online gallery sales to like an in-person sales session. So you don't have to start there. You start with laptop and Lightroom. You don't have to project. Your sales aren't going to be as good, but who cares? Like at the beginning, let's not worry about the sales. Let's get that customer service thing down. And you meet them in a coffee shop. You go to their home, they come to your home, whatever it is. You just need to sit down at a dining room table. And I did that for years. I used to go to conferences all the time, and I would hear about the projector and the software. People would ask if you're projecting, and I never was. And damn it, I wish I had done it sooner than I did. You guys, I just started, okay, so I did eventually buy a 44-inch TV, which was a step up. But the projecting system definitely, that's kind of where I went, was laptop, TV, and then projector and fancy software. When I had the TV, I wasn't using fancy software. I was just using Lightroom. But there are baby steps along the way. You don't have to go from where you are today to a crazy setup in a big studio and thinking that you need all this fancy stuff. You don't. You just need a laptop and Lightroom and some cool photos. So yeah, I don't know. I hope that helps. I'm just going back through the question again, make sure I answered it. I thought about selling more products. In-person sales freaks me out. I don't know if I addressed that, but it shouldn't. I don't want you to think about the sales. And this is the way that I'm hoping it will not freak you out as much, is that if you think about it as your own growth as a professional and customer service for your client, leave the sales part out of it. Okay, the sales are going to come naturally from that session, but don't make the sales the focus of that meeting, at least at the beginning. Once you get confident, then you're going to go into those sessions knowing that you want to sell $4,000 to this particular client, and that's a whole other level of business and getting excited. But if you're just starting out, don't focus on that stuff, especially if it freaks you out. Do baby steps. Okay, I think that's it for today. All right, let me know in the comments if I didn't articulate anything well, and or if you have any other questions, and we will see you next week. Cheers.